channel. Thank you so much for making it again. Of course, I bring this dramatic look today. Everything is so bold. I mean, except the lips. That's what's nude. But obviously, because I want to focus on the eyes. But anything from the lashes, shadows, contour is dramatic. So this look was posted on Snapchat and Instagram. And I got all these girls wanting a tutorial for it. And I was just like, I need to do it. So, of course, I bring it to you today. First of all, what I was initially going to do was a light, purple smoky eye. But then eventually it turned into very dramatic, just this right here. But anyways, if you want to learn how to recreate it, just stay tuned and keep on watching. Ladies, make sure after you prime your eyelids, you definitely set that primer just to ensure your shadow from creasing. I tell you, it is not cute once it starts creasing throughout the day. Well, now I'm using a shadow from the Reinassance Palette by Anastasia, and it's Raw Sienna. It's I believe the lightest shadow they have. Well, anyways, I'm using it as a transition color. If you do have this palette, it's definitely good for any look you want to do, I tell you. Also, by the way, I did forget to add tape at the beginning before I actually started blending anything. So I went in after and did apply it basically at the corner of my eyes. And of course, my little baby cousin comes in the picture. He's so adorbs and I had to show him off. He's just so adorable. He's a very calm baby. Look at him, chubby little whoopee thing. Super cute. And look at him. He's just like, what is this woman doing to me? Well, and now back to the program. So I'm using another shadow by the same palette, and it's realgar. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Either way, it's one of the orange colors, like the actual bright one. And I'm taking a Morphe M441 brush, my favorite brush. Like, this is the brush that I will always use for every look. Trust me. Favorite brush. So I'm just taking that, just being messy with it. You don't have to be precise just because the tape is there. It has your back. I tell you, it has your back when it comes to being messy. Once you remove it, you'll see how precise and clean your look looks. Majority of the shadows that I'm going to be using for this look are from the same palette by Anastasia, the Renaissance. So now I'm taking the shadow Love Letter along with the clean Morphe M441 brush. I'm telling you, I have like backup for days on this brush. Anyhow, I'm basically blending it the same way that I was blending the previous warm shadows. Not a difference. You can be as messy as you want. I'm telling you, that tape got your back, girl. It got your back. Now with the same brush, I'm taking the shadow Venetian Red. It looks very similar to Love Letter, but it's reddish though. So basically what I'm doing is intensifying the crease color just because it was pink and I didn't think it was enough. So I went in with this color. So I'm just basically blending it the same way I did with the previous two shadows. So now I'm mixing Love Letter and Venetian Red. I believe that's what you said in Venetian Red? I don't know. Anyways, I'm mixing both of the shadows just back and forth, blending them just to make sure I keep intensifying those colors. So yeah, back and forth. Just dip it in one shadow and the other one, then blend it on your eye. Nothing too precise. Be messy. Intensify it. Go bold or go home. Go big or go home. So I'm taking an oldie but goodie shadow by MAC, and it's Sketch, one of my favorite plummy wine shades. And obviously you can use the one from that palette as well, and I will list it below on the description box. I'm taking a flat shaded brush, and I'm basically, what I'm doing is tapping on the lid. I don't want to swipe back and forth just because it can fade, that you'll start seeing patchy areas. So I just make sure that I start, basically tapping on my eyelid. So before I start applying my foundation, I do apply my moisturizer. Next, I do go in with a facial oil, and instead of just rubbing it all over my face, I like to dab it specifically on my forehead, under my eye area where my pores are at. And then after that, I do go in with the primer, and I start dabbing mainly where my pore area is at, just because they're like craters. Like I'm telling you, if it was a close-up, you'll be able to tell. But anyways, I am using a primer. It's a clear one, and I just dab it all over. I do use it under my eyes just because I do get creasing. I mean, who doesn't? And that does prevent it. I like to take it, down all the way to my neck. You don't have to, but I do. Now, using one of my favorite foundations by Estee Lauder, it is the Double Wear. It's full coverage. Obviously, I love full coverage foundations. And what I like to do after I prep my skin is basically start blending my foundation. If you want good makeup, like literally you want your skin to look like skin rather than just a cake face, even though you're already a cake face with everything you're applying on, just take your time blending. I mean, in this video, obviously, I had to cut it out because it's, over too long. But what I like to do is take my time, basically just blending all over my face. Trust me, even blending your foundation will give you a flawless finish just because you're not, missing any areas. You want to make sure you put it all over, by your ear, your temples, your neck, just areas where you wouldn't really think about it. Just that way it does match and you don't have two different colors all over your body. And I am using one of my favorite concealers, which would be the Tarte Shape Tape in shade medium. And basically, I mean, who doesn't know how to highlight? I guess you have to figure out really how it works for you. For me, just because I have a wider nose, I do go in, more towards the outer areas of it, and that's the areas where I highlight. I don't want to contour it because obviously I'm not making shadows. I am trying to hide it. But anyways, do what fits your face. So I felt like this look was so very dramatic. Why not go in with cream contour? So obviously I don't like to over exaggerate it with cream contouring just because less is more. Because if you do over apply it, your face can tend to look very dirty. And obviously we don't want to look dirty with so much cream and powder. So we want to do it as lightly as we can. Then we set it with our powder. But we want to make sure that we keep it slightly just to make it look natural, even though we know damn well that all this cake is nothing natural. With the same brush, I'm basically compressing, the stippling ends of it. And what I'm doing is just blending up and down just to make sure I don't over blend it where my cream highlight is at. I just want to focus in making sure that that shadow stays basically narrow how I want it. And when I do bake, Obviously, under my eyes, I also like to bring it, inwards where I highlight it as well, which would be on the wider areas of my nose, just because that's going to create a shadow, of course, and it's going to create a way of making my nose look very narrow. Because of course, I do have to set the cream contour on my nose. I'm also going with a blending brush, taking a cool tone bronzer, not a warm tone, because a warm tone, it's more on the orange side and it's going to be so obvious of you having two narrow lines on your nose. So a cool tone basically is going to create that shadow, and it's not going to look really dirty, trust me when I tell you this. And I do it very slightly, like I said, the less is more. So I'm just blending back and forth. I really like to focus more on the tip of my nose just because that area is rounder and wider. And of course, using the same bronzer that is cool tone, I'm going to use it all over my face as well. Taking a smaller brush and the same translucent powder, rather than baking, I like to just basically brush it and clean that area just to make sure my contour looks very precise and sharp as well. That way it doesn't come below where you can't tell that I have very defined cheekbones. And obviously my blush, I like to make sure that I apply it on top of my apples. Like, I don't like to bring it inward where my nose, more on the outward side, just because that's going to make the focus on the outer areas. I always make sure that my bottom lash line always has some type of shadows blended, just because if I don't add anything, I feel so bald and it just unbalances the whole eye look. So I definitely always take the darker look and I define it close to my lash line. And then once I do that, I definitely go in with transition colors with a pencil brush, basically blending everything. And when I don't have wing liner, I like to connect the outer area together, because if you don't, it's just going to look two separated bold areas. And trust me when I say this, it will look so uneven and you won't be able to tell that you didn't even try to connect it. Put some effort and trust me, blend the outer corners together. And it wouldn't be a beat face if you didn't have that precise nose highlight that everyone loves so much, or any type of highlight. If you want to be a disco ball girl, be a disco ball, I tell you. Just make sure that when you do apply highlighter, you blend it in the areas that you're applying it, because if you just go ahead and apply really quick, trust me, it's just going to look a damn bright white streak, gold streak on your face. So you want to make sure that at least you blend it and then you set it with powder. Well, how I do it is basically I apply my highlighter, then I set it with any spray, then I go over it before it dries into my skin, just to make sure that my highlight looks as natural as possible and it doesn't look like a damn streak on my face or nose. And to finalize, I am going to be using two different glosses just because I'm a total freak over them. I feel like matte, it's harder for me to find a really good consistency and a good nude as brown, just because, I'm a brown biscuit and I want to make sure that I have not the too washed out nude, but more on the, brown undertone. But then again, when you use brown undertone for such dramatic looks on eyes, I feel like it's just, what do you want the focus to be, on your eyes or lips? So of course, it's easier for me to use glosses that have brown undertones and are more on the lighter side, because I feel like I can blend it more and just pull it off better. So that's me, but I mean, if you want to go with the matte, you can go ahead and do so. I will leave the description of both of the glosses below and the products and details. Well, thank you so much for making it to the end. I hope you guys do recreate this look. Of course, I will be leaving all of the details of this look in the description box. I also will leave my Snapchat, my Instagram, Facebook, any social media that I have, just that way in case I'm not posting a video on YouTube, you guys can at least stay updated with me, updated with different looks, you know, things like that. So please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, and yeah, pretty much about it. Thank you so much.